All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition of the Monday Night Football Showdown show here on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. Got Hoopster, Title here with me as always, going to break down all things Bengals at Cowboys, and got to bring my guy Hoopster in first, coming off a big day. FanDuel crusher. FanDuel sucks, but Hoop crushes. That happened. Jawan Johnson touchdown. That happened. Neighbors sucked again. That happened. And he even got the right Austin yesterday. Kevin Austin got one catch for 5 yards. Calvin Austin, the third, only one catch for 4 yards. So, Hoopster, what's going on, my friend? Another Monday fun day. What's happening?
Yeah, the big calls have been spot on, and I haven't really capitalized on them financially. And yesterday, I finally fully capitalized on them. So it was nice to see that. Nice to get back in the winner's circle. I guess it's not a live final seat; it's an online final seat, which I'm fine with. I don't necessarily like going to the events anyway, so I'm good with the strictly online portion. And then took down some GPPs, had a chance. I needed Shakir to get something at the end, and what a terrible on a side note, just like how do you run that up the middle and then use a timeout? Like the Bills coach can just be a moron sometimes out of nowhere. We don't really need to talk about that, but good game tonight. Relatively high total, and the nice thing about these Cowboys, the Cowboys and Bengals, two teams very disappointing overall this season, and probably two of the biggest disappointments. But the Cowboys still want to win. Jerry Jones has an ego. They're playing to win every game. And then the Bengals, I think, are fine just kind of slinging it offensively. So good game, a lot of plays, excited to break it down. Big day yesterday. Keep the momentum rolling into today.
Yeah, the nation crushed it. We had some people with their biggest wins ever. We had a lot of huge ROI hits, like 15K off low buy-ins, all of that. Title, I'll bring you in, man. How was your Sunday? And another Monday, a good slate here ahead, I think.
Yeah, Sunday was fine. I didn't lose at all. I think probably just lost a little bit, so I'll always be fine with that. Looks like a great game tonight. Definitely shout out Hoop. I was laughing in the inside when he was like, yeah, I don't really care to go to these. While Tambo, on the other hand, loves them. So couldn't have any more polar opposites there.
Yeah.
Most people do. I've been to two, thanks to my man Rio in one and Deepwater in another, never myself. And I definitely do enjoy them as well. It's cool to meet people. Hoop, I can totally understand it, though. He likes winning $250K from the couch. But, definitely agree with you about the coach. Oh, my goodness. So tilting. Onside kick conversion, what? They said 3%? 3%. You have 3 timeouts. So you automatically, using that timeout, just dropped your odds to 3%. Like, what are you doing, Doug McDermott? So bad. But, that's for another time. We could have a whole hour segment every week on how bad these coaches are.
We're going to save the next giveaway for this one. The day that Hoop was on the show with slick back hair, show him the watch too, and a little collared unit on with no SHIPIT gear and nothing. What was Hoop doing on that day? We'll have to have that one soon. But
we could do it now. You got anything up your sleeve? Any sort of giveaway? And then I'll tell the people at the end. It would be a fun little bit for a while.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do a month. Let's do the $99. It's on for $85. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you guys want to get in. You can get a month of all access with ShipTimizer. So we'll do that. Let's do a month of all access. We still got a lot of good content, a lot of good sports. NBA's wide open. Another big MMA weekend in the streets that we just had. Like just all kinds going on. Golf was on last week. I know it's off now, but let's do that. Let us know in the chat, where is Hoop coming from dressed like he is right now? Got the watch decked out, the collared shirt, the slick back hair, the teeth showing like always. The homebody Hoopster too, like Title said. He's happier just staying at home to win $1 million for this FanDuel event. But meanwhile, like you said, I'm going to go to Nashville anyway and just party with everybody, even though I'm not in the event. But it's the way she goes.
Is that what it is, $1 million, Hoop? Is $1 million a first on FanDuel?
Yeah, it's actually not too bad of a payout structure. There's only 100 people too, which is even nicer.
What's second, third? Is it like 500, 250? It gets awful. That's what I think.
It goes down very quick, but only 100 people, which was pretty nice. Yeah.
Top four,
$1 million. That's cool.
I think it's like 400. I think it might be like 400, 250, 100, but still, all those are phenomenal prizes, and you're playing to win anyway. At only 100 people. Yeah. Not many Sundays you get to sit around and get involved in that. So congrats again to Hoop and the rest of the community. A ton of big wins. You can go on X at SHIPIT Nation. All kinds of big scores out there. Their parent-teacher conference. They're starting Freddie Prinze Jr. Shout out to my guy Parabang.
That's actually hilarious because that's people used to always say that, oh, you look like Freddie Prinze Jr. And that was like 2 years ago.
Now that he says it, I kind of see it too. What's that movie? She's All That. Hoop was out filming She's All That too, getting ready for it. I don't even know if there is a sequel already, but yeah, that's what he was doing. All right, let's talk about this game. Let's get into the grand scheme overview. And Hoop, I'll let you look at the comments. I'll go to Title first. Title, this is a Bengals team we've seen just put up points every single game, it feels like, and then still lose. Don't know if that's going to happen against the Cowboys, but can see it playing out a bunch of different ways, to be honest. And I think for when we get to, breaking down the captains and the roster construction, there's more nuances to it than just maybe the Bengals finally smack somebody up. But give me your thoughts on this one, because Hoop mentioned it earlier too. Jerry Jones and these Cowboys at least want to win. They want to try and win. What's your first thoughts?
Yeah, I think both teams are going to try and win. Obviously, the Bengals, neither team really much to play for. Some Simpsons thing, which is why they have to have this. But DFS-wise, 5-point spread for the Bengals, 50-point total's good, and a plethora of options. I think the 4 highest captains will probably be Bengals, but it's going to be eating into each other to an extent. And another thing that stands out to me, the lack of value, and what that value is a lot of the Cowboys people will be gravitating to. So I think it's pretty clear that way. I think balance builds, 3 threes with a Bengal captain will be really popular. Any Dallas captain you put in there, I think will be relatively contrarian. 4-2 Cowboys, always relative contrarian. Don't love the 5-1s myself. Obviously, that'll definitely be different. But yeah, what stands out right away is Bengals. I think the 4 highest owned captains will be Jamar, Burrow, Higgins, Chase Brown. Not in that specific order, just those 4. And I think the value, people, again, when they try and punt, it's going to be guys like Jalen Tolbert, Zeke, Hunter Lepke, etc. So spend up for Bengals, spend down for Cowboys. I think that's the obvious build, and you can always get different, and we'll talk about how to do that.
Oh, baby, you're speaking my language. I like some of the ideas already that you're putting in my mind. We'll get to that. And when I get to the dry run, it's going to be a very interesting one. But Hoopster, first things first, any early contenders? What do you got for these early comments? What are some of the good ones?
There's a couple good ones.
Oh, you got the star feature on now.
I'm utilizing the star now. So I like this one, going to meet his new lawn care company. I like it, but it's pretty unrealistic because you guys know me. I love cutting the grass. I don't trust any lawn care company to get out there and do it for me. I do like this comment though. And then the other one,
cancel the star. It's not realistic. Cancel that star.
I do like it though. We got to see, because we need something better. So we could potentially come back to that one. Captain Neighborhood Watch just came from a meeting with Vivek and Elon Musk as part of the Doge. I would love that. I mean, if that was reality, I'd love to work with those two. I mean, you imagine the networking ability if you got in with Vivek and Elon. Man,
your net worth is your network is your net worth. That would be the spot.
And maybe we get to finally get that Sin logo on a rocket ship, right?
Oh, man. That's a possibility. That'd be the net worth to be around. Before you go, actually, now that you said that, I got to ask Title, because Title is everything. People don't know everything about him. He's at the poker tables. He's got his hands in all these different little things. How much are you into the crypto scene, and how much of the Doge or Doge, how much of that coin do you got?
A lot in the crypto. That's definitely my biggest investments. And right now I do have a good amount of Doge for the meme of Elon and all of that. But obviously the technology based, I love Solana, Bitcoin.
It's the potential of if it takes off. You don't have you didn't have the Hawk Tua coin or any of that stuff.
No, none of. I haven't been in the memes as much. People are printing, but the Doge run from 17 to 40. I've been messing with that. I'm huge into crypto.
These people signing up for these coins from these female influencers, how dumb. I mean, the bouncing boob girl. What do you think was going to happen when you bought her coin? The chick that knows literally nothing about sports betting whatsoever, posts videos talking about bets while her tits are bouncing essentially on her face. Of course, if you buy her coin, you're going to get fucking dusted. The chick talking about spitting on penises. Of course your ass is going to get dusted if you invest in her. How stupid are these people?
We got to get back to the game. At least people watching this probably are involved in some sort of crypto in this scene, so it will still be applicable, but I appreciate Title hitting that. But this might be the new contender, because they tied all the features together. You said before you were nervous about the shoey because you're a German guy kind of, and they remembered that and related it to the shoey. So that's a good one as well. Shout out
to it. Starred.
Yeah, it started. We got it. Yeah. So give us your overview. What do you think is going to happen here today?
Yeah, I mean, again, like the Cincinnati side, the main offensive players, Burrow, Chase Brown, T. Higgins, I'm imagining get a majority of the ownership at the captain position, but it's one of those situations where there's enough of them. I think Title kind of touched on it, where it has to get spread out a little bit because they're all super appealing in their own regard. So you're going to see it spread out a little bit. You have options on the other side, CeeDee Lamb, Rico, who now, the workload for Rico is essentially unlimited. They're giving him everything he wants. I think it was like over 25 touches the last 2 games, but it does fall off pretty quick. The mid-tier, I'd say, is pretty weak, and then the value is pretty weak as well. So it's another one of those tough slates to get away, I think, from some of these obvious captain plays. So definitely excited to talk through it and see what you guys think. But man, it just seems like a slate where it's going to be one of these top end guys that is the optimal captain tonight.
Yeah, don't disagree. We'll see if you want to see how the optimizer, ours is Shiptimizer, how it's fitting that for you, but we'll get there in a second. But good segue on your part. I think you always look for the light and the positive in what it is. And yeah, look at it. It's Burrow, it's Chase, it's Brown, it's Higgins, it's, right, and then Rush. The only reason this specifically Rush is up there because people are going to talk about this already. He's free. He's $8,800. And so when you put him at the captain at 13-2, you're getting a quarterback at the top. So I can see why he would pop into those top 5, but the top 4 are Bengals. And you mentioned it almost like quarterbacks on a main slate, Hoop. Like it's just going to spread out. So you're able to still find, you can play them all and get leverage. If you only play 4 captains tonight and they're all Bengals, if that's what you want to do, you'd be able to get overweight on all of them because they're all going to be somewhat kept in check by each other. So Hoop, first thoughts on captains when you look at this here now. It looks like Burrow, anytime we can get a quarterback up top, but his ownership is actually coming in less than Chase Brown for sure, who I think will be popular. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins will probably pick up a little steam to that number. I actually think you could see Burrow come in 4th behind those 3, but we'll see. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be him 4th in terms of ownership. I mean, people are always hesitant to play quarterbacks up there. Jamar Chase, obviously massive upside. Chase Brown has been great. T. Higgins as well. So I do think it's going to be Burrow coming in probably 4th. And I think he could come in lower than 4th overall. I think he could potentially come in below CeeDee Lamb as well at the captain position, and maybe Rico. I mean, so to me, Burrow could be 6th on the list in terms of ownership. That's not surprising what's up there like at all. I mean, there's nothing there that does surprise me. If you go to flex, I'm imagining the guy that we see a bunch of is going to be Tolbert.
Oh yeah, maybe I was going to tell you that it's Juju Smith-Schuster 2.0, 75%, 2,800 Tolbert.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm not going to play. I'm going to do this exact same thing I did with Juju because it worked out for a lot of people. I'm not going to play Tolbert at 75%. I'm going to probably cap it. So we have him projected at 27. I'd definitely cap that number a little bit. I mean, 40, 50-ish potential range. You have 30, it's fine just to see what happens if we kind of rerun it. What is going to happen is you're probably going to see the captain, those expensive captains come down a little bit potentially when you rerun it. And I'm not playing Tolbert in the captain spot either. I did see he was in there for some, but yeah, I mean, he is $2,800. He has a very friendly projection. We have him at 6, and that's at 2,800. That's a big number, especially on a slate where there's no true standout value. There's not a ton that we like. He's going to get in there a crazy amount. And yeah, we're showing 27%. So that's one thing to keep an eye on. But those 6 guys, Burrow, Chase Brown, Higgins, CeeDee Lamb, and Rico are going to take up a large, I mean, what are we thinking? Like probably 80%, if not more, of captain ownership. It's a big number. So, I haven't made any decisions yet, but those guys all stand out to me for sure.
Yeah, I know, Title, we're going to talk about this. I love when you break this down. It'll be probably later when we get to positions of like looking at the values on one side versus the other. And that's usually when we're getting to flex. But we're at captain right now, so I'll let you roll with it. Obviously, the one thing was the Tolbert stuff. Is I brought up the Stone for a second just to show it. It's 27% we've got him at right now, which probably is fair. 25 to 30, call it. It makes sense. But there is like Turpin, Mingo. It's not an easy click. I'm just saying there is names when we get to flex later on. But take us through your thoughts at captain first, because you already brought up some of the stuff around being able to flip the builds a little bit, and if you play more Lamb or more somebody else up there instead of just the standard. What's your thought at the captain position?
Yeah, we'll get to the flex. I'm definitely going to try and get a little more different there, like Bengals tight ends, Turpin, stuff like that as pivots in that range. It's tough I think the 4 best captains are probably the 4 highest owned. Chase Brown, Chase, Higgins, Burrow. The offenses look elite. I feel way better with them than with Cooper Rush back there. I will say the one Cowboy, I don't think Rico's a bad play. I don't think CD's a bad play, but they're still coming with ownership. I'm going to take a page out of Hoop's book. We have them at 8 and 10. That's 19 roughly percent, 18 if you don't play those two that you could eliminate from the field. I think that's my approach right now. Where I do the only Cowboy I think I'm going to play a captain is Jake Ferguson. Please don't get hurt in the first drive again and have Schoonmaker break the slate. 5.4K. The value stinks, and everyone knows the value stinks. So they'd be like, why not go mid-tier captain or lower captain? Well, it's really gross. After you get down from Cooper Rush, like Gesicki, no one wants to play. The kickers, maybe they run it back yesterday. I don't know. Defenses like Turpin. There's just no one down there that I feel good about in the mid-tier besides Jake Ferguson. And again, Cooper Rush likes his tight ends. When Ferg went down, it was all Schoonmaker. 12, 13, is it enough? Probably not on the captain winner. I do think 16 could be enough. 17, again, the value stinks. I'm not excited to play Zeke. Could Jalen Tolbert get you 4? Of course he can. Hunter Lepke, a third down running back. So the guys that people are clicking down below aren't fun, and you can eliminate that when going Ferguson. So that's my only real hot take. I don't hate Rico or CD by any means, but I definitely prefer Chase. He's 1K more. I prefer Burrow, 400 less than CD Lamb. And Chase Brown's props look really good too, getting a lot of the work. So I think I'm just going to eat into the chalk more and then fade the other 2 chalk spots, which look like Rico, Lamb, get a little Ferguson, and that's 5 captains for me, which I'm good on today.
Yeah, I will say that I just flipped it back here to look at this real quick. This shows the ownership. One thing this reminds me of, not necessarily the game and how it's going to play out and the big over and all that, but just to say the slate we just had with the Browns Broncos? Was that the one where everyone was on Nick Sutton?
Yeah.
Right? Yep. And it ended up being Judy on the other side. And he really did get kept in check versus the other side. Like Nix and Sutton still got love. People were trying to make Javonte. It was kind of what Hoop said, balancing out. And then what you're saying for if you flip it, I think you'll see Lamb stay in check. Even if it does get 10 or 11, that's not much considering I think the steam still goes to Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, and Higgins on top of everything else. So yeah, I think there's certainly ways you can flip the build. And if you think to Hoop's point also, so maybe Hoop, I don't know if you have extra thoughts to add on this, but you talked about it. If they do have the pride and show up, I mean, there is 2 things to this. I'll caveat it quickly, is the Bengals have been getting the points scored and still losing every game that they play. This would be the time that they score the points and win, you'd think. But if the Cowboys can stay within it, then you can flip those builds because it will help you fit more and change it up quite a bit if you go 4-2, 3-3, 2-4, whatever you want to do. So is there just any thought around that stuff as well?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. You really have to figure out how you envision this game being played. I mean, the Bengals, like you said, their defense has been terrible. And they're scoring a shit ton of points, but they're just giving up more. I mean, teams are just doing whatever they want. Who was the team? Was it I'm drawing the blank on the last game where it was just Pittsburgh, right? Yeah, Pittsburgh, where Russ Wilson just went off. So, I mean, bad offense is going to have a ton of success here. And everyone's going to be going Bengals heavy. I mean, I don't hate the approach of going Cowboys heavy. That's one way to flip it. I mean, if you run any sort of team today and don't change anything, you're getting probably a minimum 3 Bengals, maybe 4, maybe 5 in teams. They're just an appealing team. I guess the one outlier is obviously Tolbert, who is just, too cheap and kind of projecting well. But I don't hate flipping it where you go a Cowboys heavy approach. I could definitely envision the Cowboys winning this game and scoring a lot of points. I could definitely see that happening today. It's a team very disappointing outcome so far for Dallas and Cincinnati, but that's the reason why we bet a lot of money, or at least I did, on the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, because they're still wanting to win games. A lot of teams that fall into these disappointing seasons over type things, they kind of just give up. Cowboys just will never do that, and it's something to take advantage of. So I don't hate potentially flipping it here and going Cowboys heavy approach on some teams. It's probably good if you're like you do, building sets to take a set of teams and focus on, a score where the Cowboys put up a ton and win the game.
Yeah, I think my set is going to be if the Bengals finally show up and just win a game and score all those points and the other team doesn't. I'm definitely going to have some of those tonight with, hopefully get different that way, because if the thing about the Tolbert percentage, I will say, and then we'll get to quarterback, running back, and some of the position by position stuff. But the one thing I look at, or the way it first hits my mind thinking about it, where am I at here? Go back to lineups, exposures, flex. We didn't adjust it and rerun it yet, but no need really. Just we already know what we're talking about. But I'm saying when I see that just leads me to believe that like the 4-2 is super heavy. Like it's got to just be Bengals 4-2s. And then after that, even Bengals 3-3s. People are able to fit in Cooper Rush and some of the other guys, no problem. So it just has to be that way. So I think the 5-1s, no matter, it doubles on your point, Hoop, because even if those Bengals are popular, how many of those Bengals lineups are 5-1s? And it's always a smaller percentage, or typically a smaller percentage. I would probably say it's under 15% of the lineups right now in the field will play it that way. So that's another way to get different. You can get leverage on them as captains and then get leverage on the lineup style or the type of build. So I certainly think that's another way there. Title, anything else you want to add, man? We sort of ran through it all now, but anything else at captain?
Just the quarterback stuff, just a little bit in like the flex, because I am going to be playing a lot of Chase, Burrow, Chase Brown, Higgins in lineups that like I'm playing one of those for a captain and I'm probably playing another one of those Bengals. I do like not like fading the other two or at least one of them and then saving money with a Rico or a Cooper Rush in the flex that way. So then you're at least leaving 1K plus in most teams. Like just say you go Chase up top, Burrow, instead of playing Chase Brown or Higgins, maybe I'll go Rico there or Cooper Rush there or something like that. I'm just, because I am getting chalky at captain, I'm trying to look at where I can save money, a decent amount of money, and still see them being able to outscore where you're dropping from. And I think that's where I look right now. Of course, we're going to get to some of them value. Like we'll get to running back Zeke. I'm not playing any Zeke in tournaments. He stinks. I can pivot elsewhere, stuff like that. But that was the one takeaway. I'll be more Bengals captain, but the Rico Cooper rushes for the flex, I think I will have a decent amount of, because you can leave salary off the other top guys.
Yeah, I'll definitely have Rico, Lamb, probably less Rush, to be honest. I know he can spread it out, but it's like he looks pretty. I think he could even see some steam as the Cowboys captain that people prefer, just because he's so cheap and easy to set it up. But I still like Lamb and Rico. Hoop, you made a good point on the Rico stuff, and it will be in that type of set for sure for me. But I would just say, man, it's maybe it's a product of it's Ezekiel Elliott and other people behind him, but they're not giving the ball to nobody else. And why not try and keep Burrow off the field and keep that high-powered offense running on all cylinders down? They got Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Like, just do what you can to try and keep them off the field. I don't know if they're that smart, but they should do that. If they do get away with it, it's probably Dowdle. Plus, he can fall into the box, right? You can see these Bengals guys make mistakes on defense, leave some openings, and have Dowdle fall in a couple times. So I guess I got some interest in him, but Lamb is probably the preferred Cowboy. Anything else from you? If not, you could take us into just running back as a whole, as a position. We spent some time at quarterback up top, I think.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know, the more we kind of talk through it, it just seems like a slate where one of these dudes just absolutely goes off. I can't remember the last time we said this, but it just seems like someone's going off in a really big way, whether it's like Jamar Chase, Higgins, any of those Bengals guys we already talked about, CeeDee Lamb. So I don't know, maybe now I'm thinking about for captain, like I need guys that can just go nuclear. And like, to me, Rico could potentially be like the odd man out, because I think he's fine. I think the workload's good, but like, can he really just go off? I don't know if he can. So I don't know. I'm kind of having second thoughts on him.
What about Lamb? Just curious, sorry to cut you off, but just at the same.
But yeah, I think like I part of me, now that I'm thinking through it, doesn't I kind of like what Title's saying, where maybe you just eliminate, because I just feel like it's going to be a Bengals guy, one of those dudes that just goes off. Maybe eliminate Rico up top and CD, and you're getting rid of potentially 20% there. I don't hate that. I mean, if you only want to get rid of one, I definitely feel better about getting rid of Rico up top opposed to CeeDee Lamb. But we'll see when I get in there and build. And obviously, shortly after the show, everything will be updated on the website. But I just think it's a slate where someone's going nuclear, like a massive.
That's why I asked about Lamb, because it's to your point. Now you made me start thinking and overthinking. I'm like, well, wait a minute. He might get you like 10 for 80.
Yeah.
Like, is that still enough? Because the other side, they do smack them up for 30 plus or whatever. It's like, it's going to be one of those dudes probably. But I guess the only caveat to that is if the Bengals spread it out, and then but even then it's still probably Burrow.
Then you have Burrow, yeah. Then you got Burrow up there to kind of protect against it. So yeah, I don't know. I could go as low as 4 and just, I mean, yes, those Bengals guys are getting the ownership, but if you're only playing just those 4, it's very easy to get overweight on any of them if you want. So I don't know. That's something I could potentially do. But in terms of flex, I mean, the quarterbacks, yeah, I mean, whatever you can get in there, definitely. We love Burrow, and then Cooper Rush. I mean, solid price tag for him. The other running backs, just not excited at all. I mean, yes, Chase Brown, yes, Rico in the flex. I do not want to click Ezekiel Elliott's name. I don't want to click Herbert's name. I mean, it's not even like Herbert's cheap. He's 2,400. Like that's like that's low, but it's like it's got to do a little something. So I don't know. I might just be playing Chase Brown and Rico in regards to the running backs. Like I don't really want to click anyone else's name.
Yeah, and I'll go to you in a sec, Title, on the running back stuff because we talked about a little. But the other thing, just to your point now, Hoop, even looking at the Stone, because I forgot I had it up. I wanted to bring it back for the show. All these captain ownerships are just so in check, and all their optimals are much higher than even the Cowboys that have Love. It's like Lamb, Dowdle out, Rush popular and out. I also think I think Rush gets more steamed. We'll have to wait and see, but he's just so cheap at the spot that if people go there, plus I've looked at some of the builds pre-show, so I will just say that is a way to do it. And if you have 25, 25, 25, 25, you're in great shape. And you can also even build within that 25%, however you want to build. Some 5-1, some 3-3s, some stuff that's a little bit different, 2-4s. So it gives you a lot of outs that way where people, the chalkier captain got there. But if you see it the way you're seeing it, that would be the way to build it. So I like that. Title. Go to you at the running back position. You mentioned like old Hunter there, and we know Chase Brown, Dowdle, and those guys. But what's your thoughts here? Because Hunter's $400.
I think at cost, he might be my favorite running back on the slate. At cost and at ownership, because I mean Zeke, I think is probably the worst play on the slate. Can bookmark that later when he breaks the slate. He had 9 snaps last week.
He is not breaking a slate. Okay, I will go ahead. We can go ahead and lock that in right now. Zeke is not going to break a slate.
The problem is Covey was on the winner with a 0, so Zeke with 4. Okay. It's not like it's impossible.
Does that qualify as if you're on the opposite, you broke it? Okay, all right.
That breaks the slate in my opinion. And but Lepke, so Zeke 9 snaps last week. Lepke 32. Like, and he's built the lineup, put Zeke in, take Zeke out, go Lepke. Now, is this Lepke guy good? He's whatever. He could very well get you 0. You pull up the game log. That's most of what you see. 32 snaps, though, he's more likely to get some receptions. Solid blocker, can get out to the flat. He's like another tight end, essentially. And he's absolutely free. And value's tough on this slate. So he's probably at cost my favorite. I'm not playing Zeke. He's terrible. Rico, Chase Brown, fine plays. You know what you're getting with them, true RB1 workloads. But what I'm curious about is, like, the Bengals are out of the playoffs. They really don't have much to play for. Chase Brown's young. He's good. He's explosive. He's got to be a part of their future. Khalil Herbert's probably not a part of their future. Jalen Tolbert's right above him, projected way better with all the ownership. He's plus 450 to score. He doesn't have a rushing prop. I just don't know. Teams that are eliminated, like, I'm going to play some Khalil Herbert at the end of the day. I'm talking all these chalk captains for the Bengals. You got to get different some way. Very well could get a 0. But once you go and talk about some of these other values down there, any of these guys really can get you 0. So, yeah, I'm going to play some Khalil Herbert. It's scary, but at ownership, it's not that scary.
I wrote a note down, K Herbert, ATD. I wrote 3 names down during our show yesterday. Of course, did not bet this, but Hoop said Jawan Johnson scoring a touchdown. Yeah. Title was selling me on something I already loved, which is Mike Wilson, because I was on Kyler, and I even had stacks set up with like him and McBride. So I was like, okay, that one feels good. And then I was like, man, I think if it ain't Hurts and it ain't Barkley, I think Calcaterra can score a touchdown. I wrote those 3 down, and all 3 of them scored, and they were all like +4, +500. Maybe Wilson was a little less, but either way, that would have been a very nice anytime touchdown parlay. And Herbert would make sense to leverage up. The Chase Brown will still have a big game, and it's a great spot. But what if he just falls in one? That could be a great.
All the stuff. If he scores, Higgins not scoring, Chase isn't scoring. More than likely, Burrow, unless he throws it, like all the leverage on that side.
It's like him versus Zeke. It's double the price, but it's probably nice.
Herbert any day. Zeke's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there. So I guess, I'll have to think about him. I never really thought about that, but it is super leverage. I love the Hunter call. I think others will, but not enough. Like if he's your 12% owned guy or your 14% owned guy, it's like, yeah, he's $400 and makes it all work. But if he gets to like 30%, then it's like, okay, that build is just going to be tough. You'll have to do it with $1,500 on the table or something. And tonight's a harder night. Again, no slate. Don't take us the wrong way. No showdown slate is hard to leave money on the table. I'm saying, but tonight, I know people out there hand building, I know it's hard to leave money because they can just get these payups. They can fit 4 of these studs and use a Hunter and still feel like their 5th piece is so strong, but then they don't realize that's putting them in, backing them into a corner of a lot of the same build. So I think that's the other thing that I want to bring up. I definitely don't have anything else to add at running back. The Dowdle stuff I think is the most interesting. I don't think people are shying away though at 9K. Then the biggest piece for me, Hoop, and then I'll kick it to you to take it to wide receiver, is Dowdle is $200 more than Rush. I know our ownership shows pretty close, but do you think there's any opportunity there at all where more people do get to Rush because they have Tolbert and they think that makes more sense? Or do more people play Dowdle there because they say, Dowdle and Tolbert's the guy that catches a few passes, doesn't really hurt me? What do you think?
It's tough. I mean, I think it's probably pretty equal. I mean, the projections show it being pretty equal in terms of ownership, and then you start thinking like correlation type stuff. Obviously, Cooper Rush will correlate better with like CD Lamb captain teams who's getting some ownership. Rico doesn't really match up with anyway. So I do think maybe Rush gets a little bit more. I don't think it's going to be a massive difference though between the two, and I don't really see any sort of like opportunity. Quarterbacks are always nice in the flex. I mean, they touch the ball essentially every play unless they're doing like a wildcat or something like that. So I think people always do lean a little more quarterback in the flex when it comes to this. But again, the ownership kind of shows that, and it probably holds true somewhere in that range.
Damn, we got a mid-show issue here, boys. I got to double check this to see if it's right. Oh man, I just was checking it for fun. Guess what? It's a day before birthday for. The day before birthday always hits. Got to bring the narrative in quick. Guess whose birthday's tomorrow?
Zeke or something?
Herbert.
Joe Burrow, baby.
Okay.
Joe Burrow, the road quarterback, man. This is going to be spread night. He's going to try and run some in. He's going to try and get the birthday love. So
you find any angle where you can pump up a quarterback captain, you take. I do appreciate that.
That's what it is. It's turning into a bit now. All right, the birthday bit. Sorry about that, but just had to bring that up. That's interesting. So anything else there? Anything else at running back? If not, Hoop, go to wide receiver there.
Wide receiver. So I mean, the Bengals side, very simple. I mean, Chase, Higgins, and Chase, Higgins, and Yoshi at 4,400. And I think Yoshi's a fine play. And right in those Burrow captain teams that you're talking about, he's a guy who continues to get the red zone looks. I know he got one last time they played. I can't remember if he converted it, but they were definitely looking to him in the red zone, and they continue to do so. I think he's a really good play, specifically in those Burrow captain teams. And like you said, Burrow's birthday tomorrow, you might want to spread it out and run one in. So maybe one to Chase, one to Higgins, one to Yoshi, and then he runs one in. And that's the Burrow captain sort of team. But like I said, the Bengals side is very easy. It's those three. Dallas side gets a little more complicated. We like CeeDee Lamb, but it's a big price tag at 10.6. Brandon Cooks is back, $7K. Big price tag for Brandon Cooks, and then Tolbert is going to be very, very popular. I think it's higher. What are we're showing 27. I think it could get more just because we don't have much value. He is showing up as a really good value because he's projected way higher than everyone else in his range. So you got to be careful with those Tolbert captain teams. Turpin's fine at 4K, and then I guess maybe Mingo. I mean, I'd probably rather play Mingo than some of those cheap running backs, to be honest with you. So the Dallas situation, a little more muddy. Cincinnati situation, very, very clear.
Yeah, Jonathan Mingo, got to add him to the mix. I like that call there, actually.
I mean, they're giving him some looks like down the field in that last game, and there's probably like no reason not to continue down that path. So, I don't mind him.
Don't forget, it's part of your pride pitch over there for Jerry Jones. Is they gave away more for him than other teams gave away for like DeAndre Hopkins and some of the other dudes. So that they got to make Jonathan Mingo a thing. Is when do they do it? It could be when they're down 20, but those points still count.
4 targets last week. Now that I look at that, I like it even more. I mean, 4 targets for 2,200, a team that could be trailing. Like I'm very interested in Mingo now that I saw that.
Jonathan Mingo it is. All right, Title, what's your thoughts down here, man? You were talking about it earlier. This is where we could move some value around. I kind of like Hoop's Yoshivas call, too. I do remember they were still looking for him last week. And, it may not fully turn out. It might be one play and it doesn't get enough out of it or something. But if he gets 2 or 3 shots or an end zone crack at it or something and gets there, that's a pretty good value, too. So what's your thoughts on that one?
Yoshivas stands out as, I'm saying, favorite receiver when there's Chase, Higgins, CD, but looking at the ownership on him, and like there's all the clarity in the world. He's by far the wide receiver 3, whereas we go to the Cowboys situation, I don't know what in the world's going on. I mean, so the Mingo stuff, like he got 26 snaps, Turpin 14, Cooks 30, Brooks 23. But we have to remember, CD left that game near the end. I think it was like 2 drives, maybe 2.5 drives where CD didn't come back. So he only was 67%. And that's when a lot of those Mingos, Turpins, Brooks of the world rotated more. Jalen Tolbert by far is the most underpriced. Like he's by clear wide receiver 2 next to CD, plays almost all the snaps. I don't know why he's priced down there. So to be honest, even if I knew he was 30%, it's one of those spots where I'm fine playing 30%. I'm fine playing 40% and then trying to get different in other spots. But again, it's how chalky are you, and you have to pivot, etc. Like I'm more inclined maybe to playing with the Ferg team who's already lower owned, etc. I don't know, man. I think Mingo's fine. Turpin's fine. I like Cooks, but his price is elevated. That'll keep his ownership down, though. So I will definitely buy into the overspending for Cooks, who's on the field. Turpin, Mingo, I feel like they might get 0. We're going to get to like the Drew Samples of the world, Tanner Hudson's of the world. I will say I do prefer those Bengals tight ends over this Russian roulette wide receiver room with the Cowboys. Bengals really easy. Higgins, Chase, Yoshi. I don't know, Tambo. Can you help me out with any of this stuff? Because
I think
some might play 15 snaps.
Yeah, some might play 15. Makes sense. You're really good shape up of the last game because I think a lot of people probably forgot about that. Remember, everyone's like, "What? Where's Lamb? What's going on? Is he injured? Like, why is he not playing?" And all that stuff, and that mattered. Plus, I believe was it last game or the game before that was Cooks' first game back. I thought it was last game. Last game. So you already had that to deal with too. That kind of gave us a little bit of what was going on. So I think the callouts are good. I think Yoshivas is super interesting. Especially because I just looked at it too. And one thing I want to note is with Yoshivas in the flex, if you could take at that point, you could take a Chase team down to Higgins or down to a Chase Brown and just leave $3,000 on the table. And it's no different. You're just saying Yoshivas eats one of their lunch, but in most cases, you're going to hope that it's Chase's because it takes it down to Higgins and saves you all the money where you could still get unique and have a lineup that makes a ton of sense if that just goes that way. And we've seen it happen, especially in these primetime games where that can go that way. Obviously, you're going to have your Jamar Chase teams up top where he has a 2-touchdown game or what Hoop talked about just breaks the slate. Then you're going to need that. So that makes sense. On the other side, I think I still lean into what Hoop had said, and you framed it all up. But it's like, I think Lamb, Cooks, and then I feel best actually about probably Mingo, even though Tolbert is the better on paper play. It's just I'm going to be looking for the alternative to try and get different. And you could see Tolbert have 3 for 40 and like pretty solid, and you're feeling good about that at that price. And then you could see Mingo have like a 40-yard touchdown at the end of the game in garbage time and goodbye to though. Again, maybe you need both, but probably not with like a 7 out of Tolbert. And if that happens, that's a huge leverage piece right there. You may have to wait all game for it, but it reminds me of some of the other stuff we've seen in this in season of like a Wan'Dale Robinson. Slayton sucks. I knew it wasn't going to be Slayton. And then bang, 3 catches for 80 and a touchdown. It's game over for Wan'Dale's, 5 for 60 or something. A good game. So I could see that as well. I don't know, Hoop, do you got any more clarity for us when breaking it all down now? Just anything you heard from all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it is tough with the Dallas guy, unless you're playing Cooper Rush captain. Like if you're playing Cooper Rush captain, I think these guys do make, more sense. It is kind of a toss-up. I'm going to play the Dallas guys. I'm going to keep them in the pool, but I definitely want to limit, how much I get of each. But if you are playing Cooper Rush captain, I think all these guys make a little more sense. I mean, it is just not a clear situation on Dallas, but something tells me with Mingo that they're going to continue to get him work. Like 4 targets last week, that definitely stands out. So I don't know. It is a tough situation. I mean, it's probably the least clear situation on this slate, the Dallas wide receiver group.
Helps make for a good showdown slate. That's why we like showdown, legitimate like roster construction thoughts, even in a single entry or something tonight. If you're playing a qualifier or something like that, and you know that Tolbert maxes out your salary, and you're like, well, obviously I'd rather him. He projects better, but the boys were talking about Mingo, and you just want to take a shot. Trust us and know that we're saying it's not a lock or something. This is a risky move, but it's a good move for tournaments and for leverage, and especially if the rest of your lineup is chalky or your captain is chalky or something like that, where you could get different that way. So I actually think it's interesting. And before I stay with you, Hoop, on tight end, I'm going to retract one thing for sure that I said, because now the more I look at it, and if I catch it over the slate, I'll always talk about it. But Brown, Chase, talking captain here. Brown, Chase, Higgins, Burrow, Lamb, probably Dowdle. I actually don't think Cooper Rush is getting steamed nearly as much in the captain as I originally thought. I think it's going to be, he'll be popular in flex because he's affordable. But man, I actually think you can really get different. You're getting a quarterback up top at one of the cheapest prices all season, where we love quarterbacks at cheap prices. Like, that's why they've been getting pushed to the top. And tonight you got away, and that has to make the other stuff get different. Now it's not as crazy. If you have imagine you got a Rush captain and a Mingo flex.
Yeah, it's going to be the Rush captain stuff has to be very low, because people are looking at Cincinnati. All the Cincinnati guys are looking at CeeDee Lamb. And if they're not playing one of those, or even Rico, if they're not playing one of those top 6, they're just going to come down, and it's going to be like a Ferguson or something crazy, like a kicker captain or something along those lines. Like, they're immediately going to drop down instead of staying in that range, in my opinion.
Yeah, it just looks more and more like that every time I look. They still project out well, and you can do some interesting stuff. You can do some 3-3s, which lead with a Dallas captain, their quarterback for this matter, or you could do some 2-4s. You could just pair him with a receiver, hope he spreads it out a little bit, but that the Chase Browns, the Burrows, the Jamar Chases, the Higgins of the world do more than someone like Lamb in the flex. So yeah.
This isn't just me, right? Like,
no, he froze up.
Picture like a hoop. Yeah, there we go. Oh,
it's the thumb. It's the hand. When the hand goes up, it freezes for some reason.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Your volume, everything's totally good.
All right. Well, you guys take it away. I'll try and fix the camera. Everyone wants to see my face, of course. We know it. So.
Exactly. That's why they're here for sure. And nothing to do with what you have to say. It's all checking out that pretty face. Tight end. We got Ferguson at 5'4". We got Gesicki at 56. And then we have the cheap guys, and the Cincinnati cheap guys have been getting some work. I mean, Hudson at 2K, Sample at 1,600. And I guess this kind of plays into like the Burrow captain teams, where he spreads it out because he uses all these tight ends. They've been using them. At one point in the season, it was all Gesicki. Well, they've gotten away from that. And Tanner Hudson and Drew Sample are now more involved. You said you like Ferguson early on. Schoonmaker, very good run with Ferguson out. I mean, anytime Ferguson goes out, Schoonmaker has been very productive, but he has a real price tag at 34. So thoughts here at tight end?
Yeah, no Schoons for me, just Ferguson. If Schoon is like 2K, like Sample and the Hudsons of the world, I could get some your Span Ford, and I unfortunately not sure he's in play anymore either. But give me all 3 of these Bengals guys, like at their price. Gesicki's the most expensive, but I think he's by far the best receiving tight end there, like they have. Like, he's like a wide receiver sometimes in the slot. They'll give him red zones looks. 5.6K, his ownership will be low for sure. Ferguson's 200 less, projects way better. The kickers will be more popular, etc. So Gesicki, and like you said, I think all these Bengals guys are even better in Burrow captains, but Sample and Tanner Hudson too. Drew Sample plays a lot more snaps. So how the snaps went last week for the Bengals: 39 Sample, 27 Gesicki, 12 for Hudson. They do run sub 2 tight end sets. Hudson only 12 and Sample 39. You'd expect Sample to be a way better play. Sample's by far a blocking tight end. Like, he doesn't have much upside. I actually still prefer Tanner Hudson, even with a lot less snaps. He had 4 targets, converted all of them. Just a much better when he catches the ball, can turn up field, can do something. But I will be playing all three of them. And that's a lot of the reason why, like, I'm not playing Zeke down here. Give me any of these Bengals tight ends over them. I think Ferg's strong as well. I will be hoping one tight end's on the winner today.
Yep. The Bengals guys. So Gesicki was 5 for 5 for 53. Hudson was 4 for 4 for 28. Sample 2 for 2 for 8 yards. So they converted every single target last week against Pittsburgh. So these guys, when they get looks, they take advantage of the situation. So I'm with you. I wish Schoonmaker was a little cheaper because I would play him if he was a little bit cheaper. But the 34, like, we use this term a lot, but he's got to do like a little bit of something at 34. A lot of these cheap guys, like, 4 or 5 points, probably good enough, but he's got to kind of do something at 34, and it likely would take like another Ferguson injury for him to pay it off. So don't love that price tag.
Let me circle quick. Like when all three of them were in week 8, 9, 10, Ferg played 84, 82, 75% of snaps. Span Ford was out snapping Schoonmaker by a good bit. 19-2, 16-1, 11-6. That was
close. Has to be like just a big time blocker, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, schematic way. Yeah, is what I'm thinking too. That's really, again, I'm not going to be really messing with any of it. If you play 150 teams, you have 2%. That could be overweight. Most people aren't doing that, but yeah, I want to see how it looks this week before anything next week. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah. All right, take us into kicker defense. I imagine, just pulling it up here, that not much interest in defense from the field. We have a very high total in this game, right around 52 defenses that have been absolute shit all season long. I mean, team scoring at will. 4K for the Bengals, 3,600 for Dallas. Again, ownership looks pretty low. And then we have two kickers that – the Cincinnati guy's different today in York at 48. Yeah, and then Aubrey at 5K, a guy that, last year was just banging 50-yarders like at will. I mean, super impressive. This year has been a little bit different. It looks like they're going to be equally owned as well. It looks like the defenses will be equally owned, probably mid-teen range. We're showing Bengals 12. We're showing Cowboys 10. So I guess, lower double digits, and then both kickers probably in the 20 range, 22, and then 20 for Aubrey. What are your thoughts at kicker and defense?
I think I lean like both defenses will be in the pool. It's really hard to get excited about them, just like knowing the game, 50 total, etc. But they're going to be so low owned, and because I am eating a lot of chalk at captain, that is one way that the chalk can get there. Defense low owned in the flex, you'll eliminate a lot of duplicates that way, and it just takes one play. I do favor Cowboys defense over Bengals defense due to them being at home, better pass rush. Just look at the stone right here. Cowboys defense hasn't been terrible. Bengals defense has been awful. So even with Cooper Rush versus Burrow, I prefer Cowboys defense and their upside. If having to choose kickers, I look at them very similar. I will say, I don't know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Teams like this that really have nothing to play for, I know they want to win, but like a decision to go for it on 4th and 4, I think it's a little easier when the implications aren't like you're not going to lose your playoff spot, whether it's when you might lose your playoff spot. So do you think these coaches, I mean, McCarthy's a donkey, who knows, but they'll side with aggression when they're not playing for as much?
100%.
And that hurts kickers.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, and that's a really good point, something I really didn't think about. Like the 4th and 3s, in a close game where it might be a field goal, you probably go even the 4th and 5s. Like you see it now. I mean, I do think it is the Dan Campbell effect. I mean, he's kind of pushing these coaches in this direction in general. He's doing it with a shit ton on the line, potential round 1 buys, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Like he's getting risky. You're seeing more of these coaches do it, and especially in a spot where the game really doesn't matter. I mean, these teams are both dead at this point. You can definitely see them being more aggressive, which is certainly a downgrade for the kicker position. That's a very good point.
Yeah, and again, like if it's 4th and 8, and they'll probably boot a 50-yarder, but also Greg Olsen, I believe it was, talked about it 2 weeks ago in the Vikings Cardinals game. If anyone's really curious, they can go back and watch it. But long story short, like going up 6 when you're up 3 to make it up 6. Same exact thing happened with the Rams game yesterday against Buffalo. Like being up 6 versus 3 with so much time on the clock sometimes even works against you because you're going to go for it on every 4th down. Time at that point doesn't mean as much, where like 3 points versus 6 isn't nearly as different as you go up and make it 2 scores, game's over. We saw again yesterday at the Rams, thought it was a very good call. McDermott moved them back. They chipped away the extra couple yards. They went for it on 4th and 6. The Cardinals did not against the Vikings. It was a very bad analytics move. I saw on Twitter 73% to win, dropped down to 62% on that one field goal. So I just will never understand. I mean, if I was a coach, first thing I ever do, I'm going to find the smartest analytics guy. I'm going to put his ass in the up top in the thing, and he's going to tell me everything before I make a decision. 55-45. I'll go 55.
Ego,
52-48.
Man. These guys,
and you can use your mind. Like
these guys literally still think they're smarter than the numbers. They truly do. These coaches. I mean, that's the only explanation. They think they have to be the smartest guy in the room, and they think they're above all that shit. That's the honest truth. It's the ego.
Sad. And you can see why the Ravens, Harbaugh, they do have an analytics guy up there. When they went for it, like with a minute and a half left in the second quarter, right before halftime, everyone else kicks that ball. No, they didn't kick it because they will pick up that 1 yard. Otherwise, they're probably going to get a field goal anyway because they moved the ball on them so much. So it's insane, man. It really is insane.
It is wild. I mean, it's certainly
Baltimore. That's what I said. They're good.
Maybe for people that do what we do, it's like a little more like common sense, and they're not like digging into it as deep when the shit happens during the game. But it is it's wild to me. But it has to be the ego, and the ego gets in the way of a lot. Not only in this industry, all over the place in different industries, but these football coaches. They just have
to. The Bills yesterday. You work all those players working their ass that hard for one coach, stupid dude, to call a timeout to limit your chances, whatever it was, to 3%. You need an onside kick.
You think you're rushing it in, okay? You think you're going to get it on first down, okay? And you don't. Get up to the line as quick as possible and go again. Calling the timeout ends your chances of winning the ball game. I mean, it literally your chances are over. You're done. You can't win at that point. You have less than 3. Is it 3% to get the onside kick?
That's what they said yesterday. It was 3%
to get the onside kick, and then you need like another 20 yards or whatever at that point. So you're like drawing to 1% outcome. Where I mean, I don't know what the chances are, but you at least have a chance. Probably. Potentially
you had 3 timeouts. Just don't run it. Or if you do the QB sneak, which again, people can lay on top. So I think that was bad in the first place. You have to have that second play lined up. Like 40 seconds.
Throwing the football from the 1-3 times, you have 10 seconds. You can probably get 3 plays in 10 seconds. Maybe a little bit more, maybe 12 seconds, whatever the hell it is. Like, man, these coaches just kill me. And I'm glad Tom Brady got on his ass. Like he was riding that hard, and a lot of people give him – why are people giving him so much shit, by the way? I don't think he's been terrible.
I don't know. People always give shit to
people. Yeah. Like they're making
people either love or hate Brady. They'll find a way to nitpick.
Yeah, they're making it seem like he's the worst commentator of all. Like, is he the best? Like, no. Remember when Tony Romo came out of the scene, everyone's like, he's the best. He's the best. Yeah, I get that. He was really, really good. He's better than Brady, but I don't think Brady's been terrible. But I'm glad he got on his ass because that was a terrible, terrible play call.
What are you doing with kickers defense? The same as always?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, if I get any for defense, I'm fine. The one thing, though, the Cade York guy does scare me a little bit now. He was 0 for 2, like, last week, and that was his first opportunity with the team. We talked about these guys being a little more aggressive. Like, that could play into it a little bit more as well. We're like, all right, we have nothing to play for. And our guy was just 0 for 2 last week. Like, let's not roll him out for a 50-yarder. So I don't really like him. I'll have, more Aubrey, but I'm not even like all that excited with him either. I'm going to play him. I'll probably be around the field, but I don't know. I'm not going to go crazy with, either defense or either kicker. I don't think.
You prefer Yoshi Voss to both of them? Gesicki, Ferguson, those are also in that range?
Yeah, I think I like them all better than the.
And then you can always go ahead.
I would say I really like your point, though. I mean, these teams with nothing to play for are going to be more aggressive.
Yeah, and then like a thing we were talking earlier, plug in Aubrey, drop down to Tolbert. Yes, Tolbert is popular. You're saving you're leaving 2.2K, something like that. That's how I prefer eating Tolbert chalk today. I don't think you just like completely fade. He's obviously mispriced. We'll get ownership for a reason. It's more so how you use them. So if you got nothing else on DraftKings Hoop, you got to lead us off with FanDuel.
Yeah, we'll hop on over to FanDuel.
Am I back here yet?
Yeah, you're in. Your voice is your voice.
The camera's not?
No,
camera's not.
You're good though if you want to keep going.
Oh, it shows. I was just gonna say to Hoop's point, because what I was doing while you guys were talking was looking up Cade York. That's not last week. So this guy is so bad, he lost his Wikipedia page. This is 2 years ago. he was 0 for 2 and they dropped his ass.
Oh, yeah. Shit. I just pulled that up quick.
Yeah. Then last year, he couldn't even get off the practice squad and he went to injured reserve. And now they just hired him this week to come in and see if he can kick. So
yeah, you're right. They pulled that. Where was he in week 1?
He was nowhere.
That was week 1. He played Tampa Bay in week 1.
Yeah.
So he played Tampa week 1. He had a game.
Where was he for that? Washington Commanders? It was like September 9th, it says. Yeah, so he was released on September 9th after 2. Okay, sorry, you were right. It was before that. Yeah. He missed 2 as well. So yeah, he's not
the best option. Yeah, it was Washington. Yeah.
Good on the Commanders. Missed 2 week 1, you're out of here. Nice. Someone else can make it.
He missed he also missed he was 24 for 32 when he played in 2022. So not the best feeling with a little Cade York action.
Yeah, I think I'm with. Yeah, that's not great. Definitely not great. They'll just go for it, I'm assuming. Over on FanDuel, the standard stuff. And yeah, if someone put that comment in there because it worked out well yesterday. FanDuel sucks, but Hoop crushes over there. I wouldn't mind crushing over there again tonight. You got Burrow at 14.5. You got Chase at 15.5. CD Lamb at 14. So they're kind of doing the same thing where it's just like increments of like 500 all the way down the pricing. Let's see if anything stands out. I mean, we know the deal there. We're just looking for pricing differences. Rico at 11K, so he's a little bit cheaper, but I guess Cooper Rush at 11.5. So both those guys pretty cheap. Ferguson at 10K, Tolbert 75 over there. Yoshi 9,500. I don't like that. That's like a big boy price tag for Yoshi. That's not super appealing. The cheap guys are not very good. Like even Herbert, we talked about Herbert earlier. He's 7K. Like, why is he not 5K? Herbert should be 5K. He's 7. There's not much cheap action there. We talked about Tolbert 75, Aubrey 85, York 9K. I don't know. Nothing really stands out over on FanDuel.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. I didn't see much else, but a good call. It's on some of those prices that are much higher. And then I guess that's the other one. It's like Chase Brown, easy to get to. So I think his ownership number just gets skyrocketed up. I think Title, you had the good call. It was on the, I think that same Broncos game that we were talking about. It was like Jameis is not going to get popular just because even though he's a quarterback and on the other side, I think it was just that everybody went Nix and Sutton. And it left Judy and Winston with like no ownership. You could see that again here once you factor in Chase Brown, Burrow, and then one of Jamar Chase or Higgins or both combined. I think it just drops off a cliff. So it would definitely be another way that you could go here. Maybe Cooper Rush is somebody that you could use over there at low ownership.
I think after Burrow, Chase Brown, it drops off significantly. Like your 1K more is Chase, then Burrow. You talked about it last week. I think it was you, Tambo. Maybe it was Hoop. I don't know why Draft or FanDuel's doing like 14.5, 14, 13,
500. They're lining up everyone and then just going $500 less per spot.
You make it easier.
What that leads you can do is leave money even easier because these guys are all like T. Higgins should be maybe 14K. Chase Brown should be 15K. Cooper Rush should be 13K. Rico 13. Like, if they price some of these guys the same, they would be almost all elevated, which allows you to leave salary a little more. But then you go down to the salary after Tolbert. It's not really fun, but if you think Turpin can outscore him, Khalil Herbert, Hudson, Mingo, Lepke, any of that stuff, I think my favorite approach on FanDuel would be not playing Burrow, Chase Brown, and then I even think Chase, CD, Rico, Cooper Rush. I even prefer Cooper Rush and Rico over on FanDuel a little more. That's a way to get different, just getting off an MVP chalk guy.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I think that's probably it. You got anything else, Hoop, you want to add or any other final thoughts?
We'll just do the quick giveaway. And I like the one that you had pulled up because it was a talking point for a while, me doing the shoey. Finally did it. I think it worked out pretty well, but you guys know me. Like, I am somewhat of like I was a little concerned with the cleanliness of the shoey, and I did actually go an unclean route with the backup long cutting shoes. But yeah, at the doctor's appointment to get some antibiotics to kill whatever bacteria he got from the shoey. So we'll go with that one. That was a good comment. The real answer is, relatively boring. I went to a luncheon with my father-in-law, like a Christmas donation thing where they were collecting toys for needy families. So I brought a toy, had a lunch, and I've done it for the last 3 years. So that's where I was at.
I like this one too, by the way. Late entry, but it was good. Juan Soto, everyone's complaining about it. Like these guys just get paid.
Baseball money is just insane. They said it's like the combined amount that like Tom Brady and LeBron James made throughout their career. It's crazy, crazy. Baseball does need some. So I mean, it is. Like pay people whatever they're worth, but like it's unfair for like some teams have 0% chance of getting like a high end superstar player, and it just kills. It's going to kill baseball. It really will.
Well, it's like over 15 years, though. How does this thing even ever see its thing? Like, I know how they're old. Like, again, they can play it through, but I'm not debating them getting to the 15 years. We see these guys like, what's his name on the Reds? That guy, what's it? Rendon?
De La Cruz?
No. I'm talking about the guy that's older. Who's the older guy that played for the Reds? That John Votto, maybe?
Oh,
Joey Votto?
Yeah, how old was he? Like, how old is he at?
Upper 30s. He's done now, I think.
Right. So, but like, can Soto get up to that and like come through on his 15 years?
Baseball contracts are so stupid. Like even like Bobby Bonilla is still getting like $1 million a year. Like it's like so dumb how they're structured, but I don't know. It is. I don't know. I hate it for baseball because like in the NFL, I think it's a fair playing field for teams to get good and get relevant. Like in baseball, it's just not. It's going to turn into the Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, and then everyone else is fucked unless you get lucky.
We went to that game in where was it? Was it with you, Detroit? Were you with me?
I've been to a lot of Detroit baseball games.
It was Rio. My bad. Forgot. Rio brought me out to the fantasy baseball.
Yeah.
And we went to the Cubs at the Tigers. That's what I was thinking of. They were playing the Tigers.
Yeah.
The game is literally just there to just hang out and drink. Like there's no other point. It's just a place to go hang out in the afternoon and do something because nobody cared. Even with like the little stint, like G. Risen was with us and he's pumped up for the Tigers. But other than that, nobody gives a shit about anything, right?
Was it at the White Sox or was it Wrigley, the Cubs?
Did I say Cubs? I mean, you're right. I meant to say White Sox.
Yeah.
White Sox.
Which is even worse.
We're the worst.
It's a social drinking event unless your team's in the playoffs, which is pretty rare. I mean, I've been going to Tigers games my entire life, and 95% of them are you're going there hanging out with buddies or family, drinking some beers, getting some food before, maybe hitting the bars after. Like you're not going there because of the baseball game or watching the competition. It is unfortunate because other sports it's not that way. If you go to an NFL game, like you're involved, like you're invested, you're into it, people are loving it, the fans are pumped up for what's happening on the field. With baseball, it's everyone's pumped up for what's happening outside of the field.
Just something to do. It's literally just something to do. It's crazy what you said. And we'll be down to like 4 teams. And they're like, oh my God, this team won. It's crazy. Yeah, their payroll is $350 million. The other teams have like a $80 million payroll. It doesn't even make any sense.
Well, it's crazy. Like for the Tigers, I mean, they made their little run, but in the first round, they played the closer. Some random – I don't even follow the closer guys, but Hatter, whatever his name is, he was making $18 million as a not a closer, a bullpen guy. Is $18 million. His amount of money he made is higher than everybody combined on the freaking Tigers, and he's like a no-name bullpen guy now. It's like it's a broken system for sure, but it is what it is. It ultimately will ruin the sport, though. I mean, you want – as many teams invested, as many fans invested in their teams as possible, and it just can't happen with baseball.
And guys don't want to play for their teams. That was the other talk of the thing there. Is like, who's the starter for Chicago White Sox that's super popular?
No, Crochet, whatever the hell it is.
Want to be here. So it's like their team's already the worst. They're going for like the worst record in the MLB at the time. And it's like, he doesn't even want to play here. It's like, of course he doesn't. But it's like, that's the other thing. If he's going to get paid and just so many other factors to it. But yeah, someone said, how do they profit? Like they must just make so much money.
They said it's TVs. They said it's all on the TV, which there's obviously big money in that. It's crazy to think that offsets like
$750 million.
Right?
Just one guy. How do profits right? I mean, billionaire owners. I thought that were just fine, like giving someone. I have no clue how it works.
It's wild, man. Yeah, because even if it's like, obviously you still need those big TV deals for when the Yankees play the Dodgers or whatever it ends up being, right, in the ending. But the point being more of like, then they're going to start getting pissed off too. Like, well, they're really just showing up to watch our team. So these billionaire owners are going to be like, why is this money going to that team down there? But it ruins it all the way down the board. It makes a mess of it. So
stupid.
All right. Title, any final thoughts from you before we get out of here?
No, good. I think it was a good show, and yeah, I'm excited for this game. 50 total. It should see some offense, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll have all the content up on the site. If you guys want to go check it out, now's the time to do it. We talked about it already, but if you go to Join the Nation single sport, $99 for the rest of the season. Go to X right now at SHIPIT Nation. You'll see another successful week. We always read another. It's funny, but it's like every single week there's something, and it's not just Hoop or Title or me or the rest of our amazing team. It's a lot of members in the community that are just crushing it week in, week out, or finding their first big win. In NFL, it's all about that, right? It takes one night, 1 week, and it can change your whole season. So rest of season, right through Super Bowl, is $99. If you want to check it out with Shiptimizer, you can even check out the tutorials first. They're free to go and check out and see if you like what you see, but $129 for rest of season through Super Bowl. And if you get college football in your state, if you don't, it's still the best price going for value and for what you're getting. But if you get college football, it's an added bonus on top. Some sites are charging more than these prices just for college football still to get in the – I mean, it's over now. Probably nobody's buying it, but just saying it's another added bonus if you're checking it out. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Appreciate everybody watching. For Hoop, for Title, and for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it!